I actually think we're not in a bubble, but I think expectations are super inflated. AI is a powerful technology. There's a lot we can do with it. I'm a big advocate for it. It's not the right solution for everything.
There is a real difference between acquiring AI capabilities and being prepared to use them well.
The gap is not in the technology. The gap is in the readiness of the organization. If we cannot successfully answer the question, what changed? Then it's not innovation. It's just wishful thinking and talking about it in a very hyped up way. If we do the proof of concept and we find out that no, it won't work, to me, that's not a failed POC. That's a successful POC because we'll learn from it.
The human side in general is not something that you can finish learning. No, it's something you continue to practice. Welcome back to our last episode from the human side of AI video series. Over the course of the series, we have spent time where AI actually lives inside organizations, in leadership, decisions, culture, scaling efforts, measurements, and even in the moments where things don't go as planned. Today, we would like to zoom out a little bit because while many teams are doing the hard, practical work of building AI with purpose, the wider conversation doesn't always reflect that reality. There is a growing talk right now about an AI bubble. Some believe we are already in it. Some others think we are heading toward it. Others see this moment as the early stage of something far more lasting. The question isn't whether the noise exists or not, because it does. The question is what remains once the noise fades. And of course, I'm glad to have Dora again with me today to discuss this point. Welcome back, Dora.
Thank you, Omar. I'm happy to be back.
I think you have lived through several waves of technology adoption across your entire career. So let's unpack this conversation from a grounded and experience-based perspective as always. As you know, there is a growing debate about an AI bubble nowadays. Do you think we are in one, heading towards one, or something entirely different? And how does this affect businesses and professionals from your perspective?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I love this question, Omar. And I hear that being spoken, talked about more and more. So do I think that we are in an AI bubble? I actually think we're not in a bubble, but I think expectations are super inflated. AI is a powerful technology. There's a lot we can do with it. I'm a big advocate for it. It's not the right solution for everything. I'm going to say that as well. But I think still the expectations are very high. And on one hand, inflated expectations for what it can do, it's evolving still, right? And it will get better. So on one hand, we have inflated expectations. And on the other hand, the maturity of the organizations, it's really not there. I know we talked throughout the series about some of the things that can really make or break AI implementations, AI transformation, and we talked a lot about the fundamentals and how important they are. We talked about real value, not hype. So that maturity is not always there. The expectations are overhyped. I don't think it's a bubble that will just burst because I think AI is here to stay. But there's definitely that, I don't know if there's a better way to say it, just overinflated expectations of what it can deliver at this point in time. And I'm going to say this other aspect as well. I'm sure you know, I think it was summer of 2025 when MIT came out with a report that 95% of POCs failed. There isn't much that we're learning. Even there, I think the expectations might be a little bit inflated, depending how you define it. By definition, POCs are to prove a concept. So when we are looking at, if we're learning from it, we're looking to prove something. Can we do it? Is it doable? Is it executable? Is it feasible? Will it work? Well, if we do the proof of concept and we find out that no, it won't work, to me, that's not a failed POC. That's a successful POC. Because we'll learn from it. So even there, the expectation, I think, and that's only one angle of it, but even there, the expectation, I think it's a little bit misplaced, perhaps. But more than anything else, the idea that AI is here, AI is the magic bullet that will finally do everything and take care of everything. That's just expecting too much. It's unrealistic. So although I don't think it's a bubble that will burst because there's a lot of that will talk about AI, that will stay with us. We are at that hype phase at this point where sometimes we're being delusional about what it can do right now, because it's not just that, it's everything else around it and what it can do. If everything else around it, the infrastructure, and by infrastructure I don't just mean technical, I mean the technical, the organizational, the people, the culture, if that is not ready, even if the technology as its own advances even more, again, it's not going to meet the expectations.
That's a very interesting perspective, Dora, to be honest. And I love the balance that you mentioned. It's very important, to be honest. And I agree with you, whether we call it a bubble or not, but still it affects every one of us. The effect of this, whatever initiatives, is real. The experiments, pressure to move forward and to move fast, inflated expectations. You mentioned I have seen it a lot with my clients as well. I would say that naturally separates the real progress from the noise.
Yes.
And I would like to know from your experience, how do you differentiate between the genuine innovation and the hype?
In simple terms, innovation is very tangible. It's very real. Hype is something that, we talk about a lot, and we're talking about the potential, but it's not tangible yet. Innovation means I have something that I can measure. It means the workflow that we were doing before actually changed because we innovated, because we took something out, or we added something in, or we changed the way it was doing it. It means that it actually shrunk the time it takes to arrive to a decision that directly impacts the customer experience, or how good a product that we deliver, or that we design, or that we manufacture, or a service that we deliver, right? So it's something that's very specific, very measurable, very real. It changes the way we work. It changes the way that we work with each other, what we produce as an organization, what we deliver as an organization. That's real innovation. We're not just talking about it, we're doing it, and we can point to it. We can almost touch it or feel it. But hype, it's so much easier to take off because it's that promise of all that we could do and everything that would be typically it's inflated about what we can do, and it's the promise, and it all sounds good. But the thing is, if it does not turn out into something very real, then it's just hype. Then it's just talk.
Yeah.
And that's how I would separate the two. If we cannot successfully answer the question, what changed? Then it's not innovation. It's just wishful thinking and talking about it in a very hyped up way, making something out of nothing, which it can happen quite a bit, and it happens a lot. And I know we're in this phase of AI where it's really hyped, and so many people are trying to do something with AI and get in it. And, we all understand the reasons why. But again, to your question, when we talk too much about it and there's nothing tangible to point to, that's hype.
I always like how you simplified what's innovation, because most people think that innovation, I should reinvent the wheel or do something that no one did before. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I have seen that before, and thank you for highlighting that aspect of it. And it could be something groundbreaking. But in my experience, even groundbreaking big shifts are built on little shifts that are happening over time. So every little shift that changes how quickly we're after a decision, how effective were we, even if it's a little shift, like the example that I gave before. In simple terms, we're having a process in the organization. We'll work together towards, producing something, doing something. If we came up with an idea that we implemented, however simple or hard it was, depending, right? It can be from simple to harder, but we implemented it. And the time it takes us went from 2 months down to 2 hours. That's innovative.
Yeah.
If we actually, or if it's something where, we were targeting this wide a net before for our customers, but you know what? This is our niche. This is what's really going to help our organization and will drive the impact to help that segment of the population. And we got to that because of this, maybe we informed back to the feedback loops, almost conversation that we had. We did something and then we had a feedback loop into a relevant process, and it changed something that we did that helped us understand I shouldn't really be targeting this segment of the population. I should narrow down to these people. And that makes a difference to our top line and our bottom line, right? It's an actual tangible. It's something simple. It's something small. That's not groundbreaking. It's just refining different pieces of how we do business. And sometimes I found over my experience, over my years, Omar, that sometimes the most boring, the most simple things are really the most groundbreaking, the most innovative things. So thank you again 100%. For highlighting that, because if we're chasing rainbows all the time, then sometimes we're going to missing the forest from the trees, what's right in front of us and the impact that small actions could also have. But small actions, when they compound, again, we look back and we realize, wow, that was actually big in the end, much bigger than I anticipated. So don't underestimate the impact and value of taking little actions for the organization. And just because I'm so passionate about it, even personally in our careers. And I don't want to derail, not speaking about AI, but I think in this AI disruptive world that we all live in, it's one of those core, lessons, if you will, and core principles that it's good for us all to understand and start implementing in our lives.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more, Dora. And this will bring us to one of the points that I would like to discuss with you. And some people mention it as one of the pitfalls as well, and why we are living in a bubble. Where do you think that some organizations are investing more in AI capabilities than they are actually ready to operationalize AI in their organization?
100%. I think many organizations fall into that category. Omar, I'm on a number of advisory boards, and I think it was spring of 2025. It may have been spring of 2024. I'm trying to remember if it was last year or the one before, where I honestly felt I saw how the conversation has shifted. In more than one advisory board groups, we were speaking, people in these groups, in these advisory boards are typically people that are in a CDO, CDAIO, some CXO type roles, CIO roles like that. And the conversation we were having, it almost shifted from Q1 to Q2. Q1 was a lot about we invest in AI. It's like that overhype that we talked about, and so much we can do. It's still happening, but that's when I started feeling the conversation shifting, where now this executive was saying towards the end of Q2, okay, I'm feeling I'm being held back a little bit. It's not as easy for me to get the investment I'm asking for or what we need to focus on, because now board of directors and management teams, right, executives are saying, and where is the return? I don't see it. I don't think it's coming soon enough. Is it really going to come, right? And it goes right back to what you said. So many organizations believe into the promise of what we can do with AI. It's the hype. But again, and I think we spoke about it, AI itself can do great things, but it's not a lone island. No matter how powerful the technology is, it needs to be surrounded. It needs to be integrated, built in, not bolt on, as I was saying. Integrated in, which means it needs to work well together. Organizations need to be ready. Do we have the right skills? Even if we do and we can do something with it, should we do something with it? Is it the right solution to what we're trying to do? Invest in it, and we're investing $1 million to make $200,000. Well, we can use a traditional way and get the same outcome, right? It's doing it for the sake of doing it or for the fear of missing out. Or we're not ready because we don't have the processes, the structure, if you will, the organizational structure to support it. We don't know who's going to own this, especially if it's cross-functional. So that maturity in the organizational aspects of the work, in the infrastructural aspects of the work, in the, I'm going to say it again, data and governance and the foundational aspects of the work, the cultural aspects of the work, if that's not there as the solid bedrock that AI can thrive on, then AI will not thrive. And this is why so many organizations that don't understand that, they invest too early, too much, and then they're being let down not realizing that the culprit in all this is that it can't do it by itself, and you need a solid foundation for AI to be able to scale outside of POCs. I know we spoke about POC versus enterprise AI, how it can scale in previous episodes. This is one of those reasons why. The gap is not in the technology, the gap is in the readiness of the organization. Unfortunately, still, I'm seeing many organizations fall into that category.
That's a key insight, Dora. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree with you that there is a real difference between acquiring AI capabilities and being prepared to use them well. And that's often when the narrative shift from optimism and being optimistic about the hype and how AI can help us to disappointment and losing investments and so on and so forth. I think we have seen this pattern before. And this will bring us to one of my favorite questions in this episode, where I would like to share what lessons can we draw from past technology waves, like the early web era, for example. And most importantly, how can AI leaders avoid repeating the same history again and again?
We have seen this in the past, so I love the question about lessons from past, even past perceived bubbles, right?
Yeah.
Like the internet era. And to your question, how leaders can avoid this. Look, one of the biggest lessons is that hype does not equal success. So we need to be very realistic about it. I love you mentioned optimism, and I'd like to stay optimistic, but also realistic.
Yeah.
So focusing on real value, making sure that operationally we are ready. Operational, again, from the people, process, data, infrastructure aspects of it. When that is not in place, we will fail. We've seen this lesson before. For some reason, and I think I understand the reasons, and we spoke about some of the key reasons, right? We want that instant gratification. We want the quick reward, if you will. We keep going back to the pitfall of, this technology is the best thing since sliced bread. Let's implement it and it will solve all our problems. Well, no, it doesn't. We have to be realistic and have measured expectations. When we do that, I think what happens is that we are building those foundational pieces that will make that wild success that much more attainable, and actually ensure that our organization is not struggling because everybody else around us, or not everybody else, but many others around us that are putting the elbow greasing, are doing the more foundational work, are doing better. They're being understood, and the customers more and their products, the customers respond to the products. Biggest lesson, be optimistic, but also be realistic. Balance the two. Put the foundational aspects of how an organization what it needs to operate in place. It is not a magic bullet, even AI. And I know we talked a lot about it, AI these days. We talk about it. It's hyped. It's not new, definitely. And I know a lot of people are thinking about generative AI these days too. I mean, we've been doing machine learning models. It's a component of AI for decades.
Yeah.
So it's execution over excitement, in simple terms, how I would say it.
I like
execution over excitement. It's good to be excited. Be optimistic, but execute in a pragmatic way at the same time.
Be realistic as well.
Yeah, be realistic. Exactly, 100%.
Which brings us to the most important question of this episode. I can anticipate your answer, but I would like to discuss it more with you. Do you believe AI will move beyond this phase into something enduring?
Without a doubt in my mind. I think AI is here to stay. I think the technology will keep evolving. I think the conversation will become even stronger for organizations to pay attention to what are the core components to make AI work. Like we've been saying, it by itself, it's not going to equal success. I love the fact that as we're getting into 2026, things like data governance, data architecture, semantics, working together, a lot of the fundamentals that we talked about, right, are being talked more, and organizations are paying more attention. That tells me that, well, first of all, let me take a step back. That tells me that organizations are getting closer to the point where understanding that, yes, we really need to invest and we really need to make sure that we put the foundation in place. But AI it's really a very powerful technology. So I'm 100% confident that it will endure, but it will also shift a little bit. It will evolve. I think there will be a time where everything that we talk about that it's hype right now will be part of our lives and our work that we're not even talking about it. Like, we're not really talking about the internet as much anymore. It is so usual right now that we pick up our phone and we talk into it. I mean, I remember back with the internet bubble, around, the late 90s, early 2000s. Who would have thought this? Right? So I think a lot of the things that we talked about right now, that some of it is hype, agentic workflows, all of that will become part of it, but it will be something else that most likely will be and end up being hyped again. So it is still to hear. This is not a fad, is what I'm saying. There is staying power, and we'll see it integrate in our personal and professional lives even more. It already has started to. So hopefully that answers your question, Omar. I think we're going to get out of this phase that it's all about attention and hype, and we're going to get into the phase that it's more about execution and really bringing it, integrating it into our organizations.
I appreciate that perspective, Dora. There may be a noise. I agree with you. There may be some corrections, but the underlying capabilities AI introduces aren't temporary. I totally agree with you. AI is here to stay, and they are becoming part of everyone's life, whether organizations, people, how we collaborate, how we make decisions. It is reshaping everything nowadays. And there is where long-term value lives. I believe so. Any final thoughts?
I couldn't agree more with what you just said, Omar. Long-term value, is associated with it, lives with it. I just want to offer one other thought, that we're talking about AI sometimes as if it's all or nothing. But AI, it's multi-layered. It means a lot of different things. When I think about the technology, right, there's different aspects of it, different layers of it. So it's possible that some things that are overhyped right now will go away, but others will stay. So overall, as not only technology, but as a capability, which is what matters, like we're saying, it will endure. But I think it's important to also just make that point that it's not all or nothing, and different pieces of it. If we think about that and we refer to that as AI, then yes, it absolutely will stay and endure, and we will benefit from it if also we're careful that we're not using it for the wrong reasons too. I know we didn't talk much about it, but there is also the risk of using this powerful technology for the wrong reasons. And this is where, as professionals, as leaders, as people, even using it in our personal lives, we need to be present and aware of how we use it, for what reason, exactly because it is a very powerful technology. And there are some risks associated with it. But again, I'm a huge advocate. It's just a matter of being present, aware. It's almost kind of like applying what we were saying earlier. Look at it, understanding, get clear, reflect, or get clear. And in previous episodes, we also talk about how we can better use it. And we talked about it in iterative framework, right? So again, being present, what we're using it for, how we're using it. And it's definitely here to stay. We'll benefit from it.
I love that, Dora, and this is a very powerful message to end with. And this will bring us to the end of our episode 8 from the human side of AI, and our final episode in this video series. And if I can conclude what we have discussed in this series, throughout the human side of AI, we have explored leadership, culture, scaling, measurement, or even failing. And now we discussed the perspective beyond the hype, not as abstract ideas, but as lived realities inside organizations from Dora experience. Dora, I cannot thank you enough, not just for today, but for every conversation in this series. Your experience, honesty, and clarity help turn complex topics into grounded discussions people can actually use. Thank you for being part of that journey.
Thank you for having me, Omar. And wow, looking back at episodes, it's been a lot of fun. I'm grateful to have had these conversations with you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure, Dora. And if I can say that the human side of AI series is not something you finish learning, or the human side in general is not something that you can finish learning. No, it's something you continue to practice. So we hope these conversations help everyone watching us to navigate what comes next with confidence, realism, and intention as well. Thank you again. See you in the next series.